Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very special live episode of Hotline League. They're always live. I think they've always been live, but this one is live from Korea. At least, that's where the podcast and the production is happening. Unlike Worlds, we do this in the state or in country where
What do
the
you
events
mean? They're all in
place.
Korea now. They're in Korea.
Yeah,
Zael flew to Korea.
where's
Venice is
production
in
and
Korea.
broadcast taking place?
Korea.
Surely. Okay, sure. Anyway, um, this show episode is brought to you by Alienware. Thank you, Alienware, for sponsoring the show. Some notes. I know that there's some sort of crackle with the XLR cable. I don't know why, but if it pops up, hopefully Twitch chat lets me know, and I will adjust and move into a better position, and the crackle will go away. I think it's maybe just a slightly faulty XLR cable, but I'm confused because we don't get this issue when we use it normally for our interviews.
It could be the pins. It could be the microphone problem as well. The connection could be a microphone issue.
Elgato mic or something like that. Anyway, so that's a thing. Secondly, if there are any weird internet hiccups or anything like that, just know that I'm on hotel internet, if you can't tell from my background, and I had to VPN through because the hotel was blocking Twitch uploads like the moment I tried to go live. So yeah, that was a fun thing. And Mark, what time is it? It's I guess it's only 7 there, so it's not bad.
Yeah, this is actual Hotline League time.
Yeah,
which works out very nicely.
Yes.
Also, I'm going to maintain. What's funny is because I was already nocturnal for Ashley during the dark month that NA had. When I flew to Ireland, I actually didn't really need to adjust my sleep schedule from like a worldwide timing perspective. Though it was like obviously a very jank sleep schedule for Ireland. And now that I'm back again, Worlds is starting at 10 o'clock, and I'm just going to be up all night anyways to be nocturnal for Ashley, and it works out perfectly. So I actually haven't had to really adjust my sleep schedule at all for the last month and a half, beyond like when I need to take random meetings during the day or like do chores and things that aren't available at nighttime.
That's sick. That seems very convenient. The sad thing, this is the first time in, well, like obviously last year we were rolling around at Worlds, but it's funny because you're gonna be up late at night, and we won't be able to just hang out on Discord and play Genshin or whatever degenerate stuff we were doing during the pandemic whenever it was in different time zones.
Well, we could play Baldur's Gate since we'll both be up on dark days.
True. When I get back to those days. Yeah.
Well, you can just do it while you're in Korea. What's the problem?
Well, I have to be at the games doing interviews. I guess I could just be sitting in the press room playing Baldur's Gate with you on the computer. People walk by, there's just you sitting in like a little webcam in the corner.
Yeah. Well, you don't need to see my face, you fucking weirdo.
I do. Anyway, let's get into...
What'd you watch on your flight?
I watched Doctor Who.
How'd you make it to Korea?
I watched Doctor Who because I watched the David Tennant episodes around MSI, and I guess it's international time, so now I'm switching to Matt Smith. And I have been playing the Doctor Who magic stuff that just came out, and so I was like, okay, we'll do some Doctor Who. And then I watched watched something else. I watched Princess Bride, not on the flight, but while I was in Portland, because I had never seen it as an adult. I'd seen it as a kid, and they also did a tie-in with Magic recently, and I was like, I haven't seen that as an adult. I wonder how it holds up. It holds up very well. It's very fast-paced.
It's a great movie.
Yeah. Like I feel like a lot of those old movies are too slow or like not, I don't know, but that one is just fast and quick, and it's an exciting adventure, and you get through it, and it's good.
Yeah. So. I mean, it's also just the writing is so witty and funny, and like the conceit of it being a story being read to a kid, and like just everything about it works so well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really good. So
Did you finish Baldur's Gate yet? Are we able to talk about this not here necessarily, but at some point? You still haven't finished it.
I've not finished it because I spent a bunch of time getting ready to go, and then I've just been traveling for over a week now. So yeah, I'm sorry. I probably finish it when I get back. But I did finish Lightbringer, and that's the third book in the second Red Rising series. It's, I guess, book 6 if you want to call it that. That shit slaps. So like book 4 and 5 had very high highs, very low lows, where he tried to go to a lot of different POVs, and a lot of them I feel like he just did not do a good job of writing. But I just like, oh my god, 6 is like peak Red Rising. It's so good. Yeah, yeah. There's a couple sequences in there that are super good. So I finished that, and then now I will start plowing through um, the Sunlit Man, which is Secret Project 4, Brandon Sanderson's book that just came out earlier this month. So yeah, I guess a little bit of mic popping. Sorry, we're trying to fix it. I'll adjust. But yeah, there you go. How
Clay
about you, Mark?
Poggers. I gave up on Starfield. I don't remember if that. I think we talked about that in
We
the
did
last
talk about
one.
that. You
I
flew
tried
back
playing.
from Dublin. Last time we did this episode, you were in Dublin and I was in LA. Now I'm in Korea and you're in LA.
Yeah, I mean, my travel was not the best, but I played a lot of AC6 on the fly on the Steam Deck. I played some fun stuff with uh, Daniel Dracos and Baldur's Gate just being like murder hobos and a very problematic playthrough. And then I played Sea of Stars. The game's fine. I think it got overhyped by people who wanted it to succeed more than it was like actually a good game. And I regret kind of getting it because, well, not that I regret getting it, but it's just like, I don't know if I'll finish it. It's just so like whatever.
Sure.
And I finally started Cyberpunk 2077 because I never played it the first time around. And now with Phantom Liberty out, I'm playing that. Movies. I feel like I've fallen off the wagon a little bit. I watched Haunting in Venice. I thought that was fine. I don't know, a bunch of random stuff. Gen V is surprisingly decent. You know, I hate spinoffs as a concept usually, where it's like we just want to cash in on the IP. But I actually kind of like Gen V, so
Nice.
that's fun.
Well,
And I don't know what else, man.
well, let's get into plans, because obviously we start soon, but this is our first episode after plans, and you are the plans expert because you came over from it. So why don't you give us sort of your takeaways from plans, any exciting, interesting things, like what for those of us kind of like myself who didn't watch much plans, especially after Golden Guardians got eliminated right before. Why
Wow,
don't you fill us in?
wow, millions of people watch play-ins, and someone whose job it is to cover League of Legends didn't. Shocking. Um, Golden Guardians busted out. I feel like the conversation around Golden Guardians is really funny. Where like most of us on like the dive and stuff, we predicted 3-0 as like memes. Mostly we like bullied Kobe for not wanting to do 3-0 GG. But all of us said like if the Golden Guardians from playoffs shows up, then they're probably gonna get smoked. And if it's the regular season one, like maybe they have a chance and they should win. Probably be favored then. And then there was the one from play-ins or from playoffs that showed up in play-ins and it was terrible. So that was pretty sad to watch. But then from then on, play-ins was pretty fun. You saw the importance of a lower bracket where both teams that advanced out of play-ins actually lost on their day one matchups. Probably nerves, probably some level of just mistakes being made. And then BDS got out and GAM got out. The PCS has no representative, kind of unfortunate for them because I think you could make the case that PSG Talents might be better than GAM, but they never got, like, they didn't really get to show it in a really awkward way because of how the groups work out. I think there's maybe some tweaks to the format that can come through because it definitely felt a little jank. And then other than that, though, I think it was a really fun plans. It was really cool. The format is a big improvement. There's no reason to put some of the like higher seeded major regions in there, or even like Korea and China. Like we don't really need to run that experiment for the most part. So
So you
it was
like
it
this
was a good
format
plan.
more? It's an upgrade on how they did it previously.
Yeah, I mean, one thing the things that I didn't like about previous international tournaments, regardless of it, whether it was play-ins or not, was like you often saw the same matchups too many times. Where like we're in groups, we need to do a double or triple round robin, and you're like, I don't need to watch T1 shit on the LLA like 4 times, or like you would get into these kind of awkward situations. So here it was just a best of 3, and then it was a tournament bracket with the losers bracket kind of. So you saw a lot of different matchups for the most part. You saw series adaptations. It was pretty good all around, and it moved quickly. It was a good time. BDS got out. They're a really fun team to watch. and I think they'll get smoked in the main stage, but they had a good showing so far. So that was cool. And now here we are in Swiss.
Yeah, so I went to Asset Day and had a good time there, and some takeaways. So we did some sort of rapid fire questions that we're trying to get out. They're kind of held up in translations, actually, which is kind of the unfortunate thing, but because I wanted to have some out before the start of Swiss. But um, we had some questions, sort of, including who's your dark horse to win Worlds, and most players I think that we asked said G2. So, I mean, I think that it's already been, people are tweeting about it. Maybe it's on Reddit or a couple different places, but like G2 is getting pretty hyped publicly and behind the scenes, which was one of my takeaways from plans. We did, one of the fun questions we asked was, who's your favorite NA player of all time? And we got some really great, interesting answers from different players in different regions. And yeah, I mean, I like the thing that is most compelling to me about this Worlds continues to be how the Swiss format is going to play out. Dude, you know
Yeah.
what's crazy? Eight
What's crazy?
games. 8 games today and tomorrow. Like, and I won't say who, but I was talking to some of the people that are on the broadcast. I am so fascinated to see what that analyst desk looks like from an energy level at the end of the final game. Like,
Is there no rotation through the 8 games?
I mean, I guess it's not like a leak. We're gonna see it later today. Yeah, there's no rotation. The analyst desk is the same for all 8 games.
Well, I'll say this, okay?
Yeah,
I have done tiebreaker days for the LCS where we had to do 10 games. So shut up, you little babies. All right.
yeah. I mean, nobody's quite frankly. When I was talking to people about it, they were not complaining. Like they were set in, they were locked in, etc. But I am complaining for them because I just think that's fucking crazy. Like this, like dude, if there's like a pause or a match remake or something like that today, like oh my god, it's gonna be bonkers.
Well, that's the thing too, is usually Worlds Day 1 has some not problems, but it's just like the first time that these people are on stage and
Yeah,
their setups, and like it's pretty understandable that there's usually some delays on day 1 as well. So getting 8 teams through there has a lot of chances for
16 teams,
problems.
16 teams through there.
So, yeah, 8 games to 16
Yeah,
teams. So all 16 teams are playing today, which I also think is really cool from like a perspective for fans. Is like your favorite team is playing today, no matter what. All the teams are going to
yeah,
play. There's a ton of hype games. There's almost no bad games. Like it's sick.
yeah. Dad Simon Kale in chat says, and this is the classic average worker employee hearing something about esports saying, uh, an 8 hour day, Travis? You mean what every normal person works every day? I thought it was just players who were lazy, but now it's talent as well. They put sarcasm in there. But yeah, for context, folks, it's not like they show up 10 minutes before the first game and then sit down for 8 hours and then like walk out the door right afterwards. That is just not how broadcast works. Like, just
No,
all I say is give it up for not just the talent, but the entire production crew who are going to be doing back to back, basically like 14-hour days, I think. It's
yeah. Uh,
nutty.
Talent call time is 3 hours before you go live usually, and then you'll have like a post show meeting and stuff like that to plan for the next day.
Yeah.
Especially, which is really hard to do right now because you don't know what the fucking matchups are, so you can't like begin to prep.
That's
Where
what
sometimes like in a
that's
tournament
what's
bracket
crazy.
you can like, okay, well today's group A, tomorrow's group B. We can do some of the group B stuff now.
I had to submit media requests I have to submit them within the next 30 minutes. So I already submitted them because I'm going to be doing the show, but I have to submit them for tomorrow. And like you go to the schedule and it's just all empty. And obviously every player is going to play, so that's how you submit them. But it's just like a really weird situation where I'm like, I don't know. I guess I'll ask for this player because maybe they'll be in some interesting matchup. I don't know. It's super weird. I guess they are
Yeah,
going to do. I assume they do the drawings on air after the last
yes.
match as well. So it's not even just 8 games, it's also like the drawing right afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah, and I like to call out for production also. Like generally, they have longer days than talent, whereas they have to be the first ones in there, like on a tech level, the engineers and all those people. So yeah, if you think the talent have it bad, just like engineers and producers have it even worse.
Yeah,
Um,
I get like I just want to call out how nutty this schedule is because I don't think that this is probably what anyone would like to do from a work perspective in terms of the scheduling and logistics perspective, but props to Riot for making this work so that they can make this format that everybody likes work because you just have to do it this way.
yeah, I think everyone is really excited about Swiss, and maybe some improvements for scheduling or something can be figured out in the future. I'm not sure, but this is really hype and really fun. Um, I saw some people in Twitch chat saying Mark not at groups. To be fair, this time it was mostly on me. Early on, I gave a warning to not invite me to group stage because I had other things on my plate. So I came back after play-ins because I had things I wanted to do that were not uh, Worlds group
Wow,
stage.
a
So
guy whose
hopefully I'll
job
be
it
able to talk
is
about that stuff.
to talk about League of Legends competitive games, and he's just deciding not to do his
And he's
job.
gonna
That's so
watch all of
fascinating.
them still. Wait. I'm confused because I'm gonna watch the games, but you didn't watch the games
No, I did not watch all of
for
plans.
plans.
I just consider
So you
myself
didn't watch any
to
plans.
be somebody who wants to be in touch with the average North American fan. And if you're telling me anybody from North America was religiously watching us playing games outside of a few crazy
I
people,
think there's a lot more NA fans who watched than you apparently. I guess the part of the NA fandom you're trying to tap into is the checked out kind, the kind that is
yeah, dude,
over
I think that there's
World
a ton
Esports.
of people that are up at 4 a.m. West Coast to watch two teams that will not be making it into the Swiss event.
Some of them did. So there's also these like other people who are on like this other coast called the East Coast, which actually has a larger population base, as I
Sure,
understand
but
it, for
they
League of
have
Legends
to
fans.
then that 4 a.m. for them is a different is like the
No,
beginning of
it's
this.
like it's like the morning for them, man.
No, no,
It's
no.
fine.
The
It's
because
like
like
8 a.m.
our games, the first game is going to start at 10 a.m. for or 10 p.m. for you, right? But
Bro, I
the
was
first
I
game
was
starts at
in
1
Europe.
p.m. East Coast.
We went live at 6, which was midnight East Coast, right? And then we would go till like midnight, 6 a.m. I don't know, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Anyway, I am excited about Swiss. I'm very excited about Swiss. And I'm excited about Team Liquid versus T1. Dude, that Piosic God has forsaken us quote is so fucking
Yeah.
good.
Dude, the quotes the last 2 days are fucking amazing. The
Yeah.
God has forsaken us, but we'll at least enjoy it or whatever. And then the Palafox is a genius
Yeah.
midfielder.
That's why for so long, and I props to Riot for doing this. Like I was annoyed it took this long, but thank God they finally did it. Like they should have always done an asset day, or media day, because that's what like you get all this giant stream of content out that hypes up the start of the event and gives all this like storytelling stuff. You know, like let's say Palafox does pop off today. You know, like that quote is going to feel really fun for people. Um, you know, like I'm going to interview Piosic after the T1 match and be like, okay, so how much did God forsake you with that match? You know, like it's gonna be it's gonna be like that. They
I
should have
mean, you
always
have
done
to try.
this.
You have to try and get Xiaohu no matter what happens after this game, and just ask him like, what was it like going up against a genius? And like maybe he's not even like the thing that's funny is like I don't know if these memes catch on. Like some memes go across border, some don't. So I'm wondering like,
So the sad thing
did
is,
you know you?
I have to request so early that my requests for today are already in. Like they were
Ah,
in
fuck.
at noon. They've been in for over 24 hours. It's not my favorite part of the system of how early you have to put requests in, but yeah, I can't. I've by the time that quote had come out, it was already too late.
Oh
So
well.
yeah. But let's get into some calls because we're probably going to keep going for about an hour, a little bit more. It might be a little shorter today because I have to run off, but and because we're kind of in a weird state where like there's a lot coming up, but like plans is basically over, and so there's not a ton to react to right now. I think we're mostly just future forecasting on this. So
Captain
Yeah.
Flowers replied to my tweet and said, "I'm drunk as hell. Bring me on." Is he in Korea or is he?
No, he's definitely not in Korea.
Flowers, are you here? Where are you?
He's definitely not in Korea. They are. I mean, I guess I can say this too, although I would assume you would know this. They're like rotating talent in and out of the country a ton. So like I think in the past, like at MSI at the beginning of groups, like almost everyone was there. There were a couple people that showed up a couple days late, I guess, or something. But here, there's not that many people on the talent side that are here. So that's why, yeah, you're not going to see them rotate folks off of the analyst desk today, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But we all got to save money, including Riot Games. So, Mark, you want to do the spiel?
Yeah, so if this is your first time watching, because it is Wednesday as opposed to our usual Monday for this show, it is a live call-in show, which means you can go ahead and get on air. And if Captain Flowers is indeed actually watching or just tweeting at me, he can go ahead and join the Discord, which I'm spamming in Twitch chat right now, pressing the wrong button. There we go. Once you go ahead and get here, go ahead and join the pleb calls or sub calls voice channels. Mute your microphone once you get in there so we don't hear you breathing or anything, or your mom yelling at you or your cat screeching. And then in the pleb topics text channel, that is where you're going to write in the take that you have. If NA is going to get out of Swiss, if Palafox actually is a mid laner, all the sorts of things you're going to want to talk about, go ahead and post them in that channel. If I like it, I will pull you from the voice channel of pleb calls into the waiting room where you will hang out until it's your turn to come on. Then we do a quick mic check to make sure you sound good.
And first off, if you are a sub, thank you for being one. I really appreciate it. I am over here without a sponsor for Worlds this trip. So this hotel that I'm in is, it's not as expensive as the ones in LA, but it is pricey. So your subs are very, very, very much appreciated. And being a sub allows you to link your Twitch with your Discord so you can put your take into the subtopics channel and also join the sub calls channel. And that it moves a little slower, so maybe a bit of a better chance of making it onto the show that way. And I see a bunch of people subbing right now. In fact, Abusive Toaster just subbed at a tier 3 level. Thank you. So Mark is going to start pulling the takes. Kelsey said in chat, yes, but what's the MTG scene like in Korea? Well, I have been to an MTG store. I played some Commander, and I bought a Korean language Teferi's Protection. So it's pretty cool, I will say. I love that about that game. Is I can just go to different countries and meet different people and play different games. While Mark is continuing to pull folks, we got some more subs. Yeshua, thank you for the 30 months. Jaffe give a sub. Kyle0808. It's been a while, Kyle. Good to see you. 4 gifted subs. Sovereign, Slogcat, Rennie the Croc, Jordasaur, BBW fam, Nemsek with the tier 2 for 74 months. Holy shit. I got Abusive Toaster, XE Reaper, and then Kyle with another Prime. So really appreciated it. Are you going to play MTG with LS? I would like to, but I also don't know if there's any time to. Oh, Mike is going crazy. Okay. I feel like I've done nothing, and yet it's crackling. Trying to fix that. Sorry about that. Hopefully it's better.
While you try and fix that, I'm going to go pull the first person. If you are in the waiting room, for people who it's their first time, fair enough. I need you to undeafen. I want you to mute, but not deafen. If you're deafened, you won't hear when I come into the waiting room and say, hey, it's now time to come on air. So,
Captain Flowers is screaming in the Twitch chat.
Bring him in. All right, should we do Captain Flowers first just to see what this hooligan is up to?
Yes, but he needs to join the Discord. So if somebody, you can't just scream in Twitch chat, bring me in. I can't yoink people onto the show that way. They have to.
Don't answer for 15 seconds. I have an ad.
Okay. Let's just wait the 15 seconds. Is the
guys, everyone wait for Flowers.
Did the microphone get better?
I sent the Discord. The Discord link is sent to Flowers. Hopefully he'll join up.
Yeah. Yo, I'm
Flowers,
back now.
You need to join Discord and join a voice channel so we can pull you in. No mic check, no nothing. You're gonna come straight on the air. We're gonna see how this goes. I wonder if he's caps locking in real life too, or if it's just on.
Let me get Mike.
Caps locked.
I'm a little worried for what's about to happen because he's apparently so off his rocker that he's just screaming to the Twitch chat without joining Discord without a mic. It is just like, bring me on, like there's
not prepared.
Yeah, can we talk through logistically what that looks like? So yeah.
Well, I assume we're gonna get a very hyped Flowers to excite us for North America's chances in a couple hours, which is all you can really ask for. When is the first NA game? Actually, I need to look at the.
It's the first game. The first game is T1 TL.
Oh fuck yes.
Yeah.
Fuck yes, dude.
Dude, that is what I'm saying.
Blasted to welcome us to Worlds.
Dude, no. I think, dude, Riot doesn't want North America to watch Worlds.
Hey man, I muted this server. How do I find it? God damn it, Flowers! I'm sending you the link. Can't you just click the link?
He's already in.
Does that not work?
Yeah, I think it just tells him he's already in it, or maybe if he clicks it, it'll just bring him to the existing one.
I don't know. I thought it brought you to the server if you clicked it. But maybe I don't know.
Yeah, I think.
How do I add?
You figure this out. I think Riot does not want North America to watch Worlds because they made us watch this BDS match, and then they're opening us with T1 TL. Like they're
trying to help. They're trying to help. It's at 9 o'clock. It's at 10 o'clock. 1 a.m. Eastern, which is like a little late, but better than middle of the night. So
I know, but that's my point. They need to hide that match and then let us have Palafox versus Yahoo.
Oh, so you think North America would rather just not watch Worlds than watch and be dejected or something?
No. I'm saying like, don't make us watch these massacre. like ease us into it. You know what I mean? Like they just slap us across the face.
There's no eased in. What, Mad versus C9?
Yes.
No, dude, they want to get T1 in the door right away. Yeah. All right, we have Captain Flowers now joining us to tell us how North America is going to get all 3 teams out of groups.
T1 TL in just a couple hours. How's it going to go?
Boys, well, let me tell you. First of all, I'm honored to be here on the Travis Gafford Industries and Mark Zimmerman Zimmistries show. Having a good time. I'm only on about like a half bottle of whiskey tonight. We're having a good time. Just gotta fucking be prepared for everything we're about to experience. So here's the thing. Here's where I'm fucking at, boys. All right. So look. All right. We got Team Liquid going up against T1. Now, you know what I think that is? That's about half a contingency. It's TNT. You know what I mean? TNT. About what you do. Dynamite. You know what I'm talking about? AC/DC. Yeah. Fuck you. But the 1 and the L, that's a bit of a difference. That's a bit of a problem. So, what we got to deal is, unfortunately, man, I got a Ziggs 1 trick going up against Faker in the mid lane. I had people in my Discord. They were like, "Hey man, Flowers, you gotta fucking peep some of this shit going on in Korean solo queue right now. APA is just dicking on idiots with Ziggs." I'm like, why the fuck is he playing Ziggs? That's the one champion he wins lane on. Please play any other champion. All of the other champions. There's about 159 of these motherfuckers in the game. Play any of them. You lose lane on all of them that aren't named Ziggs. Do the alphabet backwards. ZYX. I don't know how to fucking do it. But whatever. The guy wins lane on Ziggs and he loses lane on not Ziggs. So here's the problem, man. You're going up against the greatest dude to ever do it. The greatest dude to ever go through it. The greatest dude to ever go to it. The greatest dude to ever be through it. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm doing? You know what I'm playing? That's the dude. That's the guy. That's who you're going against. What are you doing? It sucks. It sucks. But I have faith. I have faith. I have faith. This man. You don't have faith, Mark?
No, I have tons of faith. I think TL are going to smash T1. They're going to hand them the L. There'll be T1L. T1 loss after day one. That's what they're going to be.
Where'd you get that shit? Like, how much? Like, where'd you get that shit? Like,
the copium?
Yep.
I got some Ireland copium. I smuggled it back into the States.
You got some Ireland copium? Is that
when I was in Dublin, I picked some up. Yeah.
They just deal straight shit over there in Ireland, huh?
It's a little stepped on.
God damn, they don't even cut it, huh? They just just straight to your fucking nasal cavity, huh? Yeah. Oh, sorry, Travis. We didn't lose any sponsors for that.
No, we're not sponsored right now.
Well,
I guess
the show's sponsored by
Alienware,
Alienware, but it's fine. You can say what you need to say.
Oh yeah, no, I'm just having a good time.
Well,
I'm glad.
I appreciate the pre liquored up approach to Worlds. That way you're not drinking after and you remember it. You have to drink beforehand so you don't remember how much APA is going to embarrass T1's legacy.
Mark, I don't know what the fuck's going on. I've been drunk for the last week just to be prepared for Worlds. I am so ready. So fucking ready. You don't even know, dude. Like, I am in here. Like,
did you watch any of play-ins?
No, of course fucking not. We didn't make play-ins. Why the fuck would I watch that shit? Absolutely not. We weren't in there. I only watch our games, bro. What are you talking about? Absolutely not.
Travis also is a step ahead, I guess. I was the only one who watched play-ins.
As I said, representative of the North American audience.
Absolutely not. Not even a fucking chance, man. No shot. Absolutely not. Travis has it fucking right.
What are your predictions for Swiss Flowers? How many, if any, North American teams make it out?
Okay, so I'm gonna tell you right now, all three of our motherfuckers get out of this shit. I tweeted at Vedius the other day. I was honestly enraged at the fact that he was like, "Oh, Flowers, should I comment statistically or should I comment basically?" And I'm like, "No, fuck you, dude. You should absolutely rep your region. Like, that's bullshit. Like, I have literally inted all of my pick'ems for the last 7 years saying that all of the North American teams are going to get out. And now all of a sudden you're like, oh, should I say G2 is going to get out? Fuck you, dude. G2 got MSI win 2019. I still have battle scars. I still wake up in the middle of the night. I still get drunk at 2 a.m. because of that series. Fuck you. What? Okay, look. All right, so here we are. Here the fuck we are. All right? We're getting out of this shit. All right? Look. All right, game number 1. T1 versus TL. Look, our backs are against the wall. You know what? We're probably going to get our asses beat. I'm saying probably as a politeness. Like, we're about... A rib cage is about to be like... there's not much of a cage here. It's just going to be a bunch of ribs. Everybody's going to be eaten. And by everybody, I mean the Korean teams. We are going to get fucked. There is no goddamn way. We are torqued. We are torpedoed. I tell you what, baby, this is a goddamn submarine war, and we are not the winning ones. We are fucked. That shit is boom. But afterwards, Cloud9 versus the Mad Lions. You know what that shit is? That's the sound of a goddamn wildebeest stampede about to run over Europe's worst fucking international team that they ever goddamn sent to this bullshit. I'll tell you what. These guys are not good. They have never been good. They will never be good. I'm not gonna lie. I've got a good relationship with like the coaching staff and the players and stuff like that. I got a lot of respect for these guys, but they're shit. They cannot win. We will shit on them. No way. So let's just go ahead and take care of that. You know? No reason not to. So, game 1, a little bit unfortunate. Game 2, no. Problem is, boys, see, here's the thing. I've been drinking since about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Last game of the day for North America happens at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to have to drink a lot of energy drinks to stay up until then. So, I need Palafox to do a lot of dumb shit on social media between now and then to keep me invested. Palafox, are you out there right now, bud? Where are you? What are you doing? What are you saying?
Have you followed any Reddit, Twitter stuff? Because he might have your back. The two things that
dude, he's saying he loves boobs, and guess what? So do I. So does every red-blooded American.
He's a man of the people.
Yeah, he's just trying to carry the imperial flag of titilaciousness to the world stage. That's all. Goddamn beautiful.
Well said, Captain Flowers. I appreciate your call-in. I think it means a lot to us. Do you have any final things that you want to say to anybody out there?
Hell no, dude. I already said all the shit I wanted to say. Let's go. Party hard. NA all the way. 3-0. Don't give a fuck.
Thank you. Good luck and Godspeed.
I feel like that was one of the great all-time sports monologues, you know? Like this is going to be quoted in high school yearbooks. It's going to be remade in 20 years time when NA wins Worlds and they're making the Disney adaptation. They might have to clean up some of it, but more or less word for word it'll be in there.
I was surprised to hear about 7 different accents from him over the course of that call.
It started kind of like surfer bro-y, and then when
It was like
southerny,
Australian at one point in time.
The Vedius Welsh one was pretty good.
Yeah, that was
he sounded
good.
like Vedi.
That was good. That was good. All right. Should we go on to our first caller of the night?
Yeah. We'll get the first person in here.
Okay. Again, sorry for folks where I'm getting this the static. I didn't have time to go get a different XLR cable, but I will investigate after this to try to make sure we don't have this issue again. Feel the Groove, thank you for the Prime. Shadow Spectre, thank you for the Prime. Ian7J2, thank you for the gifted sub. Orso gifted sub to Captain Flowers. I'm sure he will appreciate that. We got Flex with a sub. Basket o' Knives, Cowhaze, Killer of Heroes, John G365, Jordan, Sunflower Sen. All right. It looks like Mark is still not back, actually. Is Flowers on the chat? I'm here to help, he says. Okay, great. Glad he's here to assist us. Okay, we got our first caller. Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Hi, my name's Justin. I'm calling in from the Chicagoland area in Illinois.
Justin from Chicagoland, Illinois. What do you want to talk about on the show?
So I posted 2 takes, but Mark told me to go with the first one, which is that C9 is our worst team, like NA's worst team.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So when you look at today's, okay, well, let me ask you this. This is a good metric. Do you think that C9 is the most likely to win today still? Because I think that's what most people would say. Or do you think that the other teams are better than them enough that like the skill disparity means that they're more likely to win?
It is within our 3 NA teams that C9 is the most lackluster. I believe NRG and Team Liquid are superior in that sense.
Sure. So my question is, C9 is playing Mad Lions today, who I think people feel is North America's easiest matchup of the day. Do you think that they still have the best chances of pulling out a North America win?
I want to hope that they can pull out a win, but the weaknesses that C9 has is that their main ability to win revolves around Berserker and his ability to carry the team. Blabber has the ability to carry as well, but then you look at the 3 other members. Fudge internationally has been fairly lackluster. Sven of the 3 NA supports is also the most lackluster, and then MNS himself is a coin flip player.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I just disagree. I definitely feel like they, of the 3 teams, are probably the most well suited. C9 has historically done pretty well internationally compared to a lot of other North American teams, and I think that it's a roster that has the most experience as well. I mean, obviously TL has some great players that have a lot of experience and have even won in some cases, but I just I really feel like C9, looking at how they performed over the year, looking at how they made it to MSI. I know I'm excited for APA against Faker today, but I'm a little worried for that. So I don't know, Mark. How do you feel?
I mean, just generally nervous for NA team's performance. I feel like there is a push and pull to a new player being on the world stage. They were talking about a little bit with some of the NRG guys about how like the older players who like go and get smashed, you start to like build up almost like scars, and you're like you don't keep
PTSD.
trying the same things. Yeah, you get like kind of PTSD, and so like the old names like the Bjergs and the Jensens who have been there like 6 or 7 times are kind of like jaded about their chances or something. Whereas like maybe the younger, newer players have the ability to like go more ham because they don't have that trauma yet. I think it's also somewhat true for fans as well, where you've watched Sven and Fudge and Blabber on the international stage like multiple years in a row now, and they don't get it done. And so just seeing a new face up there, like maybe this person can do it. While I don't think that they are actually any better necessarily, maybe like that kind of fresh faced approach might help. And I also do think that there's some truth that like I've heard, the scrim. Everyone hears their scrim buck rumors and stuff like that. I've heard some meh stuff about most of the NA teams, to be fair, but also I heard C9 had been struggling a little bit. And
I
they did
straight up
drop
asked Fudge at Media Day, whenever he was sitting down in front of me, and I said, "How are scrims going?" He said, "Terribly." I was like, "Okay."
All right, there you go. There's your confirmation. Like I heard through secondhand sources, there's the direct one. It's not going great.
Yeah.
So to the caller's point, all that was a very roundabout way of saying like, yes, I don't really expect C9 to do fantastic, and like maybe one of these other teams can do better, but I don't think like it's because of anything you've seen in the past out of C9. Like I think like most of these guys you just haven't seen like, on an international stage in forever. Like Ignar sort of recently on FlyQuest in 2020. And like technically, yes, Pioshik with DRX, but that was like a vastly different situation. So like you just don't see a lot of these guys are newer and fresher, so you can still have hope about their performance there. But I still think most of NA is going to get steamrolled in the harder matchups. And fortunately for C9, their first matchup is the most winnable.
Justin, do you have any sort of rebuttals to this?
My rebuttals are that NRG are good players on paper. They're not fantastic, but they have good team play. And additionally, they hold CLG's like torch of being truly counter logic. They have the wild factor, and I believe that. And then Team Liquid, like on paper, all the players are fantastic, and they showed in the early game, but then they flounder in the mid to late game.
Yeah, I think one of the saving graces right now is the first 2 days will be best of ones, and some of our NA teams can be coin flippy in a way that might help them. And I think even for like NRG versus Weibo, like Weibo can be weird. Like the Shy might just like int games and stuff like that. I think obviously Xiaohu is incredible and probably the scariest part of that, which doesn't line up well considering NRG's. I would say Palafox is NRG's best player, him or Contracts maybe. But like there's a chance that like the NRG versus Weibo game is just like bloodthirsty as fuck. They are down to scrap. NRG is like super, super aggressive. And like maybe that game just gets like turbo burger flippy and they can win it. It's like I don't think that there's a 0% chance, but on paper, I think the other teams are favored in almost every single matchup. Even Mad versus C9, based off the most recent rumors of C9, you can maybe make the case that Mad might even be favored.
This is a bit of a tangent, Mark, but I saw somebody talking about in one of the Reddit threads about how this format is done in a lot of CSGO tournaments, and that shit gets really weird when an upset occurs because of the sort of like knock-on effect that happens throughout the rest of the bracket. And so I do think it would be very fun if North America manages to win one of these things. It just creates like chaos where you end up with like the round 2 matchup is like really weird or something. I don't know. I think it'd be again the format is like the featured thing for me for this event, so I'm really excited.
Yeah, I mean the pool draws this time. You would need like 2 upsets to get anything super crazy, or maybe BLG KT is the closest like round 1 juggernaut that's going to put someone in the 0-1 bracket no matter what, even if they are like a team that eventually gets out. One of those teams is going to be 0-1 at the end of the day. And so if you can make one other upset happen in one of these other ones where you're putting a T1 in, or even like if BDS beats JDG, and then somehow the loser of the KT BLG is playing that team, then there's like you can get these crazy knock-on effects. And with how Worlds goes, like I wouldn't be shocked if there's some interesting stuff no matter what. And even if it goes like quote unquote to chalk, at least you'll be getting a lot of EU versus NA matches then most likely. Because like let's say EU versus NA, like they lose all their games basically, except the ones that they're directly playing head to head right now, like great. Then they just play tomorrow.
Yeah, I feel like there's a really good chance we get some EU NA best of 3s just because of the way the system works, yeah. But we'll see. Justin, any final thoughts or any shout outs?
My final thought was to build off the Swiss tournament is that if we do get a top tier team get upset, then it becomes a really fun way of watching them consistently play these best of 3 series to hopefully climb back up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then for my shoutouts, I want to shout out my friends who are watching the stream right now, actually. Patrick, Jisoo, and Andre, to both Travis and Mark, and also Alienware for powering this broadcast to keep me well informed on the League Pro scene. And then finally to Team Liquid for being NA's first Swiss tournament win tonight.
Yeah,
I'm
very
looking
good.
forward to watching the game in 2 hours.
Thank you. Yeah, when they win against T1, it's going to send Worlds into chaos right out the gate. Anyway, thanks so much for the call. We'll catch you next time.
Of course, have a good night, guys.
Yeah, you
Or
too.
actually,
See
no,
ya.
it's actually.
Oh, I
Dude,
lost
you
him.
kicked him in the middle of a sentence. What the fuck?
I did. I was getting ready to move on. He said, "Have a good night," and I pressed the button, and then he starts talking, and there's like a Discord lag or whatever because I'm on a VPN, and then off he goes. We'll never know.
I think I'll fill in the blank that he was gonna say have a good night, and then say, well, actually, it's not night for you, Travis, or something.
Yeah,
That's where he's going.
yeah.
All
All right, you put a lot of people in the waiting room. We got to power through these.
Yeah. I mean, we can go a
tonight.
little late, but you have to get
Yeah. All right, off. Mark goes to grab the next caller. Shout out to some more subs. Oh, thank you, folks, for the subs. It is very much appreciated. Sunflower Sen, thank you for that. If anybody's got a Prime, you can move your cursor over the screen. A little purple crown will pop up. You can click that. Franz is here. Franz, where are you calling from?
Hey, calling from Orange County, California.
And is it Franz? Is it Franz? What is?
The classic pronunciation is Franz, but that's all right.
Franz. Franz, what do you want to talk about on the show?
Yeah, my take is that G2 will make semifinals this year. I think they're really strong. But more importantly than that, I think their consistent success over time should be a lesson to other orgs to invest in players over longer periods of time. This is a certified Travis take, by the way, and stop the revolving roster door that we consistently see. I think Broken Blade, Caps, and Mickey are great examples.
Yeah. Is it still going to feel that same way whenever NRG gets crushed? I agree with the take. I like the take, and I appreciate the idea of investing into players. I think the only challenge is if you make it, if you have to, it cuts both ways, I guess. Whatever you see, a crew of players end up getting crushed after they've been together for a bit.
That's the boring part of the take. Let's talk about the fun one. G2 making semis.
Okay. Mark,
Who cares about
I went first last
construction?
time. Do you think that do you think G2 makes semis?
No fucking way. All right. I love G2 as much as the next person who doesn't love G2 and has to pretend they do. And let me tell you, they're going to get out of groups or out of Swiss. They are truly the one NA hope that you can really pin your hopes and dreams on.
The one NA hope, huh?
The one NA hope.
Interesting.
Broken Blade is from North America. He was imported to EU, where it's all Western teams from here on.
Yeah.
Right. Like I said, as I love them as much as any NA fan can love G2. No, but seriously, they are. I think the best team by a noticeable margin of the Western teams. That might change, but like going in, that seems to be the case. They are mechanically very good, and they have unique picks and approaches to the game, which I think will serve them well, especially in Swiss stage where there's a lot less prep time. And so I like the fact that when you pick a meta champion versus them, they have the ability to wrinkle things in, sort of like BDS, not the exact same gods stuff that Adam has, but I think having that kind of splash of creativity will go a long way. So like, I like this team a lot. I just have the worry that because the West has generally fallen back behind the East, like the gap has reestablished itself when the gap had like sort of closed a little bit in the 2019, 2020, 2018-ish era. Like it seems like it's closed again, and G2 is the only standout team. I think maybe there's a chance that there's a little bit too much hope on them because they are better than the West. Like we're like, they're the best the West has by a noticeable margin. It's like, that's still probably more like a tier 3 or tier 4 team, or a pool 3 or pool 4, from the other regions. Like they're probably more KT or D plus than they are T1 / Gen G. And I think the only way that they get to semis is they have to actually rip off a bunch of wins and get into the top half of the qualifying teams. So that way they can hopefully draw a KT or a D plus or a Weibo or whoever's coming out kind of later on. They want to get out of Swiss immediately to get a better draw basically from the other teams. That's the only way I could see semis happening. Otherwise, I think that they will probably lose to a lot of the tournament favorites.
So for me this year, I'm going to go full Nopium. And that I think that the way that the format has changed is going to ensure that upsets and Western teams and all that stuff just don't end up happening. Because before, in the past, it was a lot easier for something fluky to happen because it was best of ones, because of the way that teams were put into the groups, because you could have like a single team collapse. Obviously, we're going to see how the format plays out. Maybe there are some leaks or something that I don't understand as well, or some knock-on effects. But I feel like the fact that there's just so many points of departure potentially is going to make it very hard for any Western teams to make it out. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we'll see something different happen. Maybe G2 is just way better and will crush a couple Eastern teams on their way to semifinals, like the caller believes. But I just think it's like, I think everybody clamored for this format. I am excited about it. I think this format is going to cement the the regional balances.
Boo!
I mean, Mark,
This
am
is
I-
such a
Mark.
fucking lame loser take.
Mark, does this format not decrease variance?
I think broadly yes, but generally there will still be some. So like you can't get like a shitty group or like some like weird thing that happens if like some group has a bunch of mid teams and then the one good team kind of overperforms or underperforms, excuse me. But I think it's very possible that like, okay, so there's 8 Eastern teams, right, in the LPL and LCK. One of those 8 is going to bust you out. I'll bet my bottom dollar on it. I'll put a bet down right now with you that one of the 8 teams busters out. It doesn't even to be that G2 is actually like god killers, and can go ahead and like pop off and take these teams down at their best. Like someone's gonna come out and shit the bed. They're gonna come out with a bad meta read, or they'll lose on day one. They'll start panicking. Like something's gonna go wrong for one of 8 teams, which isn't even like a crazy prediction, honestly. And so by necessity, then one team is taking their spot.
Yeah.
Didn't you see the Reddit thread that was like, there's a 60% chance just with like whatever happens that like an NA or EU team gets out?
I think I'm going to be really excited when Gigabyte Marines makes it into the quarterfinals.
Okay, but that's, to be fair, they're not an NA or EU team, but that's like the same thing you're saying.
Yeah. I'm just joking because you said you're like, but that implies that another team will make it. Yeah. I get what you're saying, and it is true. In the past, I have sort of adopted that whole like, oh, one team will make it out type thing, and usually one does. I just think that this is making it a little bit harder, and usually the one team that makes it out from the West barely makes it out. So if all you needed was for it to be a little harder for them to make it out.
Yeah, but this is the doomer angle. Like, what about when TL was 3-3 and they beat Suning and G2 in their group? I think that was 2020, right? Where it's like, if they just had like shittier other opponents, maybe they could have got out. Like, there's the positive side to it too, where like there's been some teams who have been in group of deaths and they don't get out when they probably should have, but couldn't. So like, there's a positive spin to it too, where it's not just that like, oh shit. The other thing is NA is incredible this year, so there's that.
True. Very true. No, I just think I have always veered on the Hopium angle. And
have you?
I really think I have. I mean, I've known
you think you're a positive person. You've been
when it comes to world stuff, this show is the only show that doesn't that pretends that there's any kind of chance out there, for what I could tell. Am I wrong?
I don't know. I feel like
I watched
I feel like
Cadrill's top 25 player list, and Mickey X was the only one there.
Cadrill hates NA because he's not NA. He
I'm
wants
not
to live the
even
LA
saying North America. Like, he had
lifestyle
one
and
EU
drink
player
martinis
on
at
the
the
top
beach, and he
25
can't.
players.
He lives in fucking Berlin. No, I mean, yeah, it's a long shot, but there's not been a year where no NA or EU teams gets out. It's never happened.
Wait,
right? Am I crazy?
I thought there was one year where it was like 4 Korean teams on one side and 4 Chinese teams on the other.
I don't think that's ever happened.
Oh no, maybe last year I was thinking of whenever all the Koreans.
Nope, bro got out.
Yeah. Well, we've also never had a year that had a Swiss bracket stage.
True. I mean, that's why it's going to be interesting. But I firmly believe in the ability for one team to shit the bed from these other regions.
So many people keep asking if one of us is flying to Korea, or they're like, people keep showing up in the chat and they're like, is Travis not in Korea or something? This is a wildly different background. It looks like a hotel. How do people not realize?
People either watch Second Monitor or they're on a podcast, dude. No one looks at you.
No, but then why are they coming into the chat and being like, yo, why isn't Travis in Korea
it's on a
right now?
Wednesday. They're like, oh shit, it's on a Wednesday.
Steve's in the chat. So I will say that Team Liquid is making it out.
Steve, Travis just spent the last hour bad-mouthing Team Liquid.
That is not true. I spent the last hour bad-mouthing Western teams. And that's not even true.
The entire hemisphere, yeah.
Yeah.
So wait, okay, so you don't even think, so the call was that G2s are our main hope for the West and they can get semis. I said probably get out of Swiss. Semis requires them to get out of Swiss extremely early so that they get a good seed. And then you're just straight up fuck them.
No, I do think G2, okay, here's what I will agree with. I do think G2 is the best hope for the West. It seems like everyone universally agrees with that. I don't think I have any reason to disagree with it. I just don't think that they're going to make it to semifinals. And if I was the type of person who bets on esports, I would bet that no Western team makes it out because I feel like that's a safer bet.
Wow.
Steve is in a van on the way to the game. Good luck, Steve. Or also gifted luck. Steve a sub. That's a good luck sub that you just got.
Tell APA not to shit on Faker too hard, all right? He's had a rough summer.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So thank you to our caller Franz for hitting us up. Anything you want to shout out before we take a quick break?
Quick shout out to my brother Sam. Shout out to Alienware, literally the GOAT. I love Alienware. Shout out to any company, Chipotle, Grubhub, Monster, G Fuel, missing a golden opportunity to sponsor Travis on his Worlds trip. I literally only watch Worlds, so if those companies are not doing anything about it, then shame on them. Also, shout out Monte Cristo, who tweeted on January 7th, remember that Papa Smithy could have built this FlyQuest team for 100 Thieves, but I guess they got tired of making back-to-back-to-back LCS finals, and we all saw how that turned out. So shout out Monty for that tweet. And that's it. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for the call. We'll catch you next time.
What the hell? That's the most random stray to be fired out.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, I'm not even gonna. It's too easy. Okay. Thank you to. Oh wait, we're gonna do. Speaking of Alienware, let's do our Alienware shout out. So this show right now is being broadcast from an M18 notebook. The static that you hear sometimes on the microphone is from this Amazon XLR cable, so don't let that impact your opinion of this notebook because it is quite sick. I mean, I'm using this right now. We're streaming. I've got footage coming in from a Sony camera, and it's just chilling. It's chilling at 30% CPU usage. I've got GPU usage. It's mostly pretty quiet. It's just handling it so well. And that's one of the things that's great about traveling with us on Alienware products. Holy moly. Thank you to Orso for gifting the 50 subs in the channel. We'll shout you out in a second.
Damn.
Orso, the next time you want to put money on the channel, consider going to alienware.com/Travis instead and checking out an M18 notebook, because this thing it's a beast. I haven't finished Baldur's Gate yet, but I was playing Baldur's Gate on it whenever I was in Portland right before this, and was absolutely adoring it. It just handles everything fine. You can crank up all the settings, and that's the NVIDIA RTX 40 series in it that is just capable of doing so much. So thank you really to Alienware as well for supporting Hotline League and allowing us to make sure that we can do this the couple hours before the start of the show with hardware and sponsorships. So thank you so much to Alienware for sponsoring the show. Was that your cat thing again? Thank you to Alienware for sponsoring the show. Thank you all for shouting it out. We just sent them a big montage of all your shout outs. So thanks everybody. And thank you to Alienware. Alienware.com/Travis. There's a link in the description of YouTube and podcast if you're not listening live. All right. Thank you to Decimaya, Blue Jay, It's Dewey, the one and only Corbin, and then Orso with the 50 subs, dropping $250 on the channel. It's very generous. Holy moly. Again, those subs are going directly to cover World's travel. So thank you. Oh, apparently we're getting some more static. Sorry.
Well, you can fix your microphone while I introduce rawnblade back to the show. Freak caller, how you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. How are you?
Good. You're calling from Australia somewhere, correct, though?
Yeah, Sydney.
All right. What do you want to talk about on the show today?
So my take is that Adam from BDS shows how easy it is to make fans when you have a unique playstyle.
Can you elaborate for Travis, who had not watched any of play-ins, and maybe some other of the fans who don't know what you're referencing?
Yeah, that's true. So BDS's top laner is Adam, who, full disclosure, I used to fully hate because I felt like he was a real jerk in the upset Fnatic situation back in the day. But anyway, he's kind of like rebranded himself and is, I guess, just making waves because with BDS, he plays his own style and they've actually won this year. So I think that's probably the addition to my take, was if you win, that helps to get fans too. But he this whole story through the play-ins was the fact that all the Korean fans had really embraced Adam because he played all these champions no one else plays. There was this joke about how he plays the gods champions, Garen, Olaf, Darius, Set. And so, yeah, he really basically has been making the games about him because he plays these champions. And also, no one, the other teams aren't practiced against playing against these champions. So he seems to actually, it seems to lead to competitive success as well as outside the game success in terms of, when was the last time, literally name me another time when Korean fans knew the name of a mid-level top laner in the LEC. That seems pretty wild to me. So yeah, it's been a pretty cool storyline.
Travis, is your microphone working yet?
I don't know. You tell me. Is this okay?
You sound fine. I never heard the crackling, to be honest.
I wonder if it's like an XSplit bug or something. Yeah, that's weird. Okay.
People are saying it sounds good now, at least after you blew on it. So what do you think now that you didn't watch Adam? Are you excited?
I'm thrilled. No, I mean, I think the Garen stuff is really fun. It's been cool to see how much the LCK audience are huge fans of that. I saw the interview after the GG match, and so I don't know. I really like it whenever you have a player that stands out for their play style and doing sort of unconventional stuff. And so getting into Worlds, I haven't watched much LEC this past year, so I think it's going to be really fun to learn a little bit more about him as a League of Legends esports fan. And hopefully I get the interview that I requested with him.
And so you want all North American people to just start playing random champions?
Yeah.
Correct.
I think you just hit the random button and champ select from here on out for LCS. All random, all LCS. That's what the league needs to save. himself. So
I will say I followed Pabu on Twitter. Shout out to Os great Pabu. And he talks about the fact that like some of these champions he's playing, like it is the Adam factor. He's like, sure, any top laner could pick up Garen and they could do some of the stuff that Adam does, but like a champion like Darius is actually incredibly hard to make work in competitive play the way he does. And so it is a genuine advantage because these other teams have no idea how to play around Darius, because why would anyone else play Darius? Because they can't make it work. And so, I think as much as on the fan side it's fun, there is a competitive advantage as well.
I think also, so to give credit to the entire situation there, I'm getting a little bit of bleed from you, Ron, if you don't mind muting maybe. No, you're good. I think you also have to have a team that can handle it, because he's taking no TP in a lot of situations and pretty selfish lane matchups and stuff like that, where you might need extra babysitting time from your jungler and things like that. And to have a jungler who's down to do it, a bot lane that's not going to care, and then like you were saying, individually, he has to also pull it off and make it worth it. I do think it is easier said than done. Just pick weird shit forehead, and like just win like that. And to be fair, BDS was the fourth best team doing this. They were able to borderline make MSI. They were kind of surprisingly reverse swept in spring to miss it. So, like, yes, I think picking unique stuff will get you fans, with the conditional again that you're winning. And you don't need to be the best team. I think that's the kind of difference is if you're playing standard, most people might not care if you're not actually like winning splits and stuff like that. But if you're a top half of the league team doing pretty interesting stuff in the draft, I think people will pay attention to you. And I think this is a good example of that, as well as whatever competitive advantages you might get come Worlds when no one in Korea or China has played against these sorts of things that much.
yeah, I know. I think it's very fair. We actually do need to speed along some of these because I just noticed we have 5 more callers and I have to take a shower and head off to the venue in the next 45 minutes. But rawnblade, anything you want to shout out?
Yeah, I just want to shout out both of you. I think that like you kind of both have these personas on the show, being like laid back, like yell at stuff kind of people. I think that's the fun you bring to this show. But like, it's clear how much you care about the LCS and the work that you do, and seeing the amount of effort that you've put into kind of the scene in the past year. And I think Travis with your own stuff and Mark with the broadcast. I think it's just like it's noticed. And it's a bummer, Mark, that you're not going to be on any more awards. All the best with whatever's going on in your life that's taken you away. But have a great day.
Thank you. I really, really appreciate it.
I appreciate that.
Very kind stuff to say. I do appreciate it. All right. We are headed on to the next caller. Let's see. So we got Curry Mutton, Fat Shua gifted 5 subs, EMBW subbed, and then whenever I didn't shout her out the last time because I started getting screamed at by, oh wow, we're getting raided by Trick2G for 1,700 people. Thank you, Trick2G, for the raid. Hope you're doing well. Hope the gates are fantastic for you.
You should have aired an indirect Western hopium take from Rudy.
Did you see that we got raided by Trick2G? Oh, Mark? Hello?
Oh.
Mark? Oh, right as we get right as we got raided, my microphone goes weird. Mark, are you here? Hello?
I get to be Mark Z. This is great.
Dude, Rudy, you get to carry us right now. Can you hear me, Rudy?
Yeah, I think I can hear you. But I have the stream muted. I'm not sure if stream can hear you.
Yeah. Well, my microphone and Mark's audio just went crazy at the exact same time. That's the power of the Trick2G raid. Twitch, has my audio still bad? Or are you okay? Hopefully we're okay. Rudy, what's your take, or where are you calling from?
I'm calling from New Jersey.
And what is your take?
That the best of 3 qualifiers and elimination rounds are going to be the death of the LPL, meaning that JDG is going to be the only team to qualify, which then also means 3 Western teams are going to move on because then there's going to be 3 LPL teams that don't.
Okay, go ahead and break it down for us.
As had previously been mentioned, CS:GO does switch stages a lot, especially in the last 2 years. And there is a lot of data that we can pull from that. I know you're not that much of a numbers guy. The numbers guy is currently trying to fix his mic, but
I love numbers.
Just from looking at
Got my microphone. My driver exploded for a second, but thanks to Alienware, it's back.
All right. So, did you
Based on
hear?
Alienware.
Were you able to hear what Rudy was saying?
I heard literally fucking nothing. I introed him, and I didn't hear anything after that. But
We also got
apparently
raided by
China
Trick2G
bad.
with 1,700 people. So I think he busted our gates.
He blew the gates off my audio drivers.
Yeah, my microphone went crazy, and then your audio drivers blew up. That's how strong the Trick2G raid was. But we've got Rudy here with some stats for us, some data, Mark. So that's where we're at.
Okay. Let's do it.
Yeah, so basically I'm just looking at what is the likelihood or what is the ending position for a team that loses the first round. And from looking at the CS:GO data, of course, it's a totally different game, but just looking at the team progression, after the first round, the average placement of the teams that lose the first round is like 8-9. So it's most likely that the teams who lose the first round, it is very hard for them to come back to qualify in the later rounds. And looking at the matchups in terms of LPL versus LCK teams and who they have in their first round, I can definitely see the NA and EU teams having a higher chance of upsetting the LPL teams, and so that knocks them down to the lower rounds. And because we have no inter-region restriction for round 2 onwards, just one China versus China matchup can potentially make it really hard for one team. And like you said, Mark, one team probably is going to boom out because of that.
And then not just one team. You're saying the other 3 LPL teams other than JDG are going to boom out.
Yes, because from what I've seen looking at how switch stages have played out in CS:GO, there's a lot of just shuffling in between in the lower bracket rounds. And so like one team will go up to then get re-knocked down. And so that's also what causes the lower team, making it really hard for them to move on to the next stage. And so if we get all 3 LPL teams get shoved down there after round 1, it can potentially knock each other out, or just the other teams coming down potentially knock them out.
Okay, but isn't that a very big if?
Well, there's one other critical problem with this potentially. Like, I don't follow the CS:GO scene close enough to know for sure, but I would bet that their seeding of the round 1 of Swiss stage is better than ours. Because we are seeding GAM as roughly the same strength as a Weibo or a D+, and we're pretending that NRG is a 1 seed. Which, no offense to NRG, that's probably not the right seeding for them. They're probably not one of the 4 strongest teams in this tournament, but we have seeded them like they are based off the pooling system. And I can't imagine CS:GO being any worse than that. So the thing that's happening in round 1 of a Swiss system usually is that it is pre-seeded based off some metrics used to establish team strength that then relatively gives you matchups where, yes, in round 1, the 8th, 9th place team is losing to, one of these 1st through 8th teams. And there's upsets, of course, and things can happen. But like, I think I wonder how much of this is just pre-seeding doing what it's supposed to do versus the randomness of Swiss stage.
I mean, this is kind of what I was getting at earlier before I then inverted my take and said that like this format's going to make sure nothing happens. But I do like that we're getting into kind of the craziness of what CS:GO fans have seen whenever this format is applied. What do you think of Mark's take, though, Rudy, that things are perhaps a little skewed with the seeding for Worlds?
So I think that potentially throws it into more of a conundrum Yeah, the later rounds are going to in CS:GO are properly seeded, so the losing teams are going to lose heavier, and so that's what causes the lower round teams after round two. It makes it really hard for them. But I think that potentially throws it into a huge barrel of like what ifs. That will be very interesting to see. Because we don't have that. There's nothing stopping from round 2 or round 3, an LPL team potentially knocking each other out. Or if Damwon manages to beat G2, now G2 is stuck down there with them. And potentially stuck in the middle rounds for round 2, 3 or 4 if they manage to get up.
Yeah, I think there's a couple ones you can highlight for. I think BLG versus KT, one of those teams is actually probably pretty good. G2 versus Damwon, assuming Damwon is playing somewhat decently, then both those two teams are actually pretty respectable. But one of those two matchups, one team from each of those two matchups will be 0-1 afterwards. So I see what you're saying, that like there's a chance that then you throw in an upset there and suddenly there's 3 decent teams who are 0-1. Like that kind of stuff can happen. I'm not totally outside that. So, we'll see, but I still think LNG and BLG are pretty fucking good. You can get me with Weibo. I could believe Weibo busting out. I don't think LNG or BLG are going to bust her out. They're pretty good.
All right, Rudy. We'll have to see how things go. Twitch chat, let me know how my audio is. I'm so sorry, everybody. But any shout outs, anything you want to say here at the end?
Shout out Alienware, and hope you and Drew have a good time in Korea.
Thank you. Yeah, we've been having a good time. This is actually Drew's first time outside of North America, so he's been really getting the culture shock experience. Yeah. Very good. All right.
I think cultured and culture shock are very different things.
Well, it's are they? Maybe it's you get to get shocked a little bit. Whatever. Anyway, catch you later.
Catch you later, guys.
See you.
All right. Mark's gonna grab the next caller. Sorry about all the audio issues. We should be good. Thank you, Trick2G, for the raid. Thank you to EMBW for the sub. Hate, Penny Snatcher, Chan, Pangstrom, Smurf Cakes, and then up here we got Karen or Kelsey Moser for the 10 gifted, Shavul for the 35. Thank you everybody for the subs. Very appreciated, and they are going to support this world's coverage. So thank you so much. We got our next caller here. Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, I'm Lunabear and calling from San Antonio, Texas. And my take is that in any form of best of series, either team should be allowed at least one surrender in a series, whether it be 3 or 5 is irrelevant, but they should be able to surrender. And I can elaborate if you'd like.
Yeah, go for it.
I have a follow up real quick, which did something happen at this Worlds to inspire this take? Like maybe the best of 5 with PSG and Matt, or is this just something you've been thinking about for a while?
And the beginning of the series, it did kind of inspire the take just a little bit, but also I've been a lot of T-sports in my life, and something that I noticed is that League actually has a rare opportunity in order to allow surrender votes, or they have the ability to allow surrenders. So the past series have inspired a little bit, but it's mostly just like the crossover and everything, given mercy rules. Like for me, just watching a team get slobber knocked for 25 to 30 minutes, just potentially inting themselves away kind of discredits whatever region is getting stomped as hard as they are. But then also it makes it hard for you guys on the broadcast in order to come up with things to fill up airtime while we're watching this team get stomped. And then me as a viewer, numerous times in the middle of a series, I've definitely alt-tabbed or like stopped watching the middle of the series because I knew the game was over after like 15, 20 minutes. And we don't know, on the team's credit, on the team mentality, it could be anything between like, hey, their mental isn't the best, or, like they got worked up nerves. So maybe, I don't know, someone goes ahead, flubs a level 1, it ruins the entire game just because of nerves. Them having that hard reset can go ahead and give us a little bit of a better and more entertaining series than just playing, injured the entire time because you might have been tilted because you made one error in one game. And now what went from one game that's been steamrolled now leads to an entire steamrolled series.
I'm super fine for this. I'm kind of surprised looking at Twitch chat and seeing how many people hate the idea. But as folks are pointing out, like I mean, I got into esports through StarCraft, and in StarCraft, people would forfeit all the time. And I understand that they're different games, but like people surrender in solo queue and in regular league because oftentimes you just know that the game is over. And I don't think that a team would surrender unless they really felt like they needed to. So I don't know. I see people saying like horrible tournament experience or viewer experience. I'm like, is it? I feel like oftentimes the horrible viewer experience is like sitting around waiting for the game to end while your favorite co-streamer has to start talking about, I don't know, some sort of sexual
Buttholes.
position or something. Yeah, because there's nothing else to talk about.
My knee-jerk reaction hates it, and I'm trying to think through the other aspects. Like I understand from a viewership perspective, some people it'd be divisive. So some people avoid getting checked out watching a team just kind of run over them, especially if it's your team that's getting run over. But I think the thing I ultimately care the most about is what the teams think. And having been on a team perspective, I don't think FFing will help you. Really, I think like the scenario you're talking about where you get boomed level 1 and you're like mental's trash for the series, like usually that doesn't happen. And if you're the kind of team that tilts that hard, like usually you're not a very good team. And so like I don't think if you're the kind of team that's going to tilt that hard from a level 1 or like a bad early lane phase that like you're going to mentally recover, because usually when you're getting ass blasted, like you kind of just start laughing about it. Like or like fuck, kind of thing. You're already kind of maybe thinking about the next game a little bit, even if you're still trying to like comms and focus on the current game, and like you're hanging around and fishing for a chance back in. Maybe the new team does something really stupid. So like I just don't see the realistic scenario where for the competitors it makes a big difference.
So then why not just allow it in
the situations that Travis is talking about, and a lot of like the examples of FFing and other esports is mostly like an expediency thing where like the game is effectively over and you have no way back, like quite literally. And rather than making the enemy chase down every single base to explode it to technically like force the game to call the game over, which is like what happens in StarCraft, it's like you just have to blow up the Nexus. There's just like one thing you have to blow up, and you can't lift it off the ground and start flying it around the corners of the map and troll the viewers.
Although I think you should be able to. That's actually the change that I would like to see.
That's how you save League esports. You fucking put your Nexus in the Drake pit and you burger flip a Baron for a Nexus. Literally.
Yeah.
Would be great.
No, I think there's a lot of technical reasons that other games do FFing in card games and stuff like that. Like you literally don't have the cards in your hand to like do the damage to win. You're dead next turn mathematically, and so like it's like mathematically over. Whereas like I don't think in League, like technically yes, when you're 10k down, they're pushing on your super creep wave, but like people have come back from those situations, and like if the competitors want to play, they're gonna play. If you enabled, sure, go for
it. Sorry to interrupt. I agree with those statements. I'm not pushing back against comebacks. Like obviously if a team has the mental in order to overcome a diversity, something bad like that, it's fine. But also like we've seen numerous games where maybe during like one of those games where a team, during draft pick, they pick an early game, something risky that's early game, and they absolutely bomb it, and then the rest of the game is just going downhill from there. Like from the viewer experience, and then from in my opinion, the team, I don't know how it's like on a professional team like that, but I would imagine that you just want to hurry up and go next because you're like, oh, well, this whole team comp has been botched. That was maybe early game, or it needs this one particular thing like mid lane or top lane needed to win. They're the key to success. And then they absolutely got, they also went down. So there's other cases than just like, oh, they FF, they had the chance to come back. teams that can come back will come back. That's just a championship mental. But when it comes to, in my opinion, whenever it comes to like draft pick, maybe you got like there's a draft pick diff, or your win condition gets like tanked as well. Giving teams an opportunity to get out would be nice than just floating.
I don't think it usually affects teams that much. Like, okay, so PSG shit stomped BDS in game 2, but then by the time game 3 rolled around, somehow BDS had recovered their mental and then bounced back in the series. If they FF faster, do they like? It's so situational. I don't think that you can draw any general consensus from it. Like, maybe if BDS FF'd right away and Turbo slammed their prep after that, maybe they actually would have been more tilted. But the fact that they had to sit in a losing game and like come to terms with the fact that they lost gave them more time to mentally recover. Then, like you don't know. And so like, I personally don't think we can read into it. If a team wants to FF and go next faster, like, I don't have a problem with it. I guess like it's their prerogative. You can put the option in where like after 15 minutes, yeah, sure, you can surrender and pro play, go for it. I think what will probably happen is an important series that will never happen, and people will only FF regular season games to go home. It's like probably what would happen from it, but like, fuck it, whatever, I don't care.
All right. Well, anyway, thank you so much for the call. I think Mark and I just won't agree on this one. That happens sometimes, but.
Well, I just said I don't care if they want to surrender. I just don't think it's actually better in any way.
Well, I think it's okay if they allow it.
Yeah, I just said that.
So we agree.
Yeah, I said like personally.
Because you said your impulse is to hate, is that you hate it.
Yeah, I mean, like emotionally, I don't think it does anything, and it's a waste of time. But or like it doesn't like. I don't think it's helping the teams out for the reasons I just stated. Maybe it's a better viewership experience for some. I don't know. But like, if a team wants to FF, like sure, fucking go for it, whatever.
All right, then we agree. Mark and I agree. Mark and I agree.
Yeah.
Anytime you're losing, you should forfeit immediately. Anyway, thank you so much for the call. Anything you want to shout out?
Shout out to you guys. You guys make my commute better every morning, so thanks a lot. And then shout out to Alienware and my girlfriend who suffers through my League of Legends addiction without any problem. Thank you guys.
That's a strong relationship. All right, anyway, we'll catch you next time.
All right, bye.
All right, off they go. We've got another caller coming in. Thank you to everybody. I have underneath the stream, for those of you who don't do the whole Twitch sub thing, I guess, I do have support links if you would like to do that. And then I guess I need to be better about promoting them, but I've created like a link tree that has all sorts of different ways to support me in the content that I make. And that's also in the YouTube description as well. I think I even have a way in there where I can get free underwear if you buy underwear. So like, that's how, that's what esports winter is driving me to, is just, can I subsidize my underwear costs? Hey, Mark is back. All right, Bella is here. Bella, where are you calling from?
Hi, I'm Bella, and I'm calling from Austin, Texas.
Austin, Texas. What do you want to talk about on the show?
My take was having worlds every year is the root cause of all of League's problems.
Okay, coming in strong.
Have fun. I'm gonna get water.
Okay. Why don't you go ahead and elaborate?
Okay, so several things. I feel like having worlds years apart would have players no longer dipping because they're more incentivized to stay longer. I think teams would actually get time to learn to work together, because having like 7-8 months to have 5 people learn how to work together is impossible. It lessens the team's need to constantly churn out wins for Worlds specifically, which could lead to more NA talent rise, with a potential lesser lean to lean less on international players for wins. And it opens up the opportunity for minor achievements as teams. It's just like teams needing to win Worlds or needing to get to Worlds just leads to so much slop.
Okay, so let me ask you: do you think that this would solve all of League's problems, or do you think that it's an issue for all of League's problems, or is it an issue for all of North America's problems? Because I highly doubt that like China
Yeah.
and Korea, like they're
Oh yeah,
vibing.
definitely. Yeah. I think it's mostly for NA.
Well, see, then that's the issue, right? Because you can't be like, hey, China, Korea, you guys win a little too much. We need more time to get ready and to get rosters that we
Yeah.
think could deal. So
What if Travis? What if you did like Rift Rivals for the end of one year and True Worlds for the next year? So you alternate between like just hemisphere matchups and truly a Worlds matchup.
yeah, I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
there's a pretty big revenue loss there for Riot as well if they end up doing that. Yeah,
Well, I think that there's potential for more inter-region, like competition. So it's like instead of MSI and Worlds, or in place of that, it would you could have like LEC versus LCS, all the while LPL and LCK are going and like battling it. So it's like you're still having that whole international thing going on throughout the year. It's just not specifically Worlds, whereas Worlds would hold a lot more prestige if it's every 2 years, say. Or like right now, it's just like, okay, yeah, we won Worlds, yeah, kind of expected for LPL, LCK.
yeah. I mean, for you, it's like, oh yeah, you won Worlds. In China, it's like, oh my god, they fucking did it. Ramen shops start having and bars start posting pictures of their players and the teams and all this stuff. It's like a
Travis,
huge national moment. So
what is this, Travis? This is a take that should be right up your alley. You're poo-pooing it from the global perspective, but you're Mr. NA and you're worried about team turnover and like all these things, and like kind of valid that teams over prioritize, like you say this yourself, teams over prioritize Worlds. They blow up a championship roster domestically to go chase this like hypothetically better international roster that doesn't exist. Like don't you largely agree though from an NA fan perspective? Come on.
Here's the thing. I am a North American fan, but I'm not so selfish as a North American fan that I want to change entire global ecosystems to and cost everyone else something cool just because North America is struggling. You know what I mean? Like for instance, when
Who's
I
to
say
say
I
that it
think we
would?
should do less of the import stuff, I don't necessarily mean change global import rules for the entire world. I mean change LCS's import rules,
Yeah.
That's not very American of you.
Yeah, whatever. Anyway, Mark, let's see how American you are. What do you think of this take?
I am not very American, I guess. I don't bleed red, white, and blue. I think there's like a lot of truth to what you're saying, Bella, and that like teams definitely like in chasing world success and even qualifying for worlds, they will do like short-term focused things that you could argue long-term if worlds wasn't there. But to Travis's point, it's kind of a hard sell. Even for me as someone who just likes watching our teams, like, yeah, we're gonna get pub stomped probably, but you know what? I'm gonna have a good time watching it. I'm gonna laugh and through the tears, and I also think some of the struggles that you're talking about are going to happen regardless. Like the struggle of getting five guys on the same page to play well is a problem of the game's rapid turnaround patches. You know, like regardless of how much time you stick together in this game, it changes more than most other games do. Like the patch cadence is high; they're constantly turning things over. When you look at other esports, I could be wrong, but like I mean, Valorant's aside because I don't really follow Valorant, but like I don't think CS:GO was changing nearly as much, or like I don't think any game. Dota got as many patches. They would get big patches that would like radically change the game potentially, but like every 2 weeks, there's like little tweaks on top of the big ones that come at mid season and start of season, and it just makes it really hard to like become good because you're constantly in the learning phase. You're never mastered this game. It like unlike, well, I know how to shoot a basketball at 10-foot hoop from 25 feet away because every fucking thing is the same shot in theory, even if it's like slightly different. Whereas like in League, that skill set constantly needs to be getting honed because the ball's changing, the hoop's changing, the distance is changing, the height's changing every 2 weeks, and so it's really tough. So while I do think there are some things that removing worlds would improve for NA, I think the global ecosystem cost is just a little too high.
Well, could you really call yourself the best if you're not able to be the best over multiple patches?
I mean, that's actually a good philosophical question. I would argue being the best momentarily is cool, and being the best over a long period of time is cool. I like both of them.
And
Yeah.
and that's why the show's so good, because we were both the best momentarily and all the time. Anyway, Bella, thank you for your take. I'm gonna get you out of here before people at Twitch chat somehow, I don't know, light you on fire through the call. But
Okay.
anything you want to shout out?
Yeah, shout out my boyfriend. He got me into Hotline League and League in general. Shout out my dog Weta, and shout out you too. It's always great to be joining in.
Yeah, thanks
Hell
for hanging
yeah.
out. Have a good one.
All right. You too. Thank you.
All right. So we've got 2 more callers left. We've got Dark Alley HT. Thank you for the tier 1. Really appreciate the sub. Yeah, thanks everybody. And it's always nice when Twitch chat decides not to be fucking weird. I agree, we don't have as many, we don't have a great number of diversity much in the callers sometimes, so it's really cool whenever folks do call in. All right, we got Gravity here. Gravity, where are you calling from?
Calling from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. What do you want to talk about on the show?
So my take is that NRG has a pretty good, like a pretty decently good chance of taking the game off Weibo.
These next 2 takes, Travis, we're going to end the show with some Hopi and to get people fired up.
All right,
in an hour. When
I fucking
NRG
agree. I'm right there with you.
plunders.
Everybody stay up till 3 a.m. or 6 a.m. so that you can watch NRG shit on Weibo. Why don't you let us know how they're going?
Bro, it's 10 o'clock p.m. or 1 a.m. for the East Coast. Where are you getting these times from?
He said Weibo NRG. Mark, what time is Weibo NRG supposed to be on tonight?
Oh, that's the last one? I actually don't know.
It's not the
you're
last
right.
one.
That's later on.
It's the
last of the NA games. Last of the NA games.
Yes.
Yeah. No, you're right. You know what, Travis? Let me tell you. You're right.
All right. Now that we've dealt with that, why don't you go ahead and let us know how NRG is going to destroy Weibo?
All right. So the reason why I believe that NRG is going to destroy Weibo is the jungle matchup, Contracts versus Weiwei, and like how it relates to the rest of the map. Because I think when I think of Contracts, at least of a jungler, I think of someone who's like able to do a lot early, right? He gives up a lot of camps and he likes to make plays early, whether it works or not. So, like, at least he likes to go for those plays and be proactive like that, right? And then I think Weiwei is a very similar player in that sense, where he's always looking for those kind of like proactive plays and whatnot, right? On top of that, when we talk about Weibo as a team and their like coin flippingness, I guess, I don't know how else to say it, like I think Weiwei is also can be a target of that. And the reason why I think this is important is because, you know, a lot of the time when Weibo wins games, it is like, is Weiwei going top and helping the Shy, right? When the Shy gets his jungler, they win. When the Shy doesn't get his jungler, it's not as easy for them to win, right? And I think that Contracts is a type of player who's in sync with like Dokla, who's, you know, I think people are underrating. I don't think he's that bad of a player, like on an international scale, right? I think that Contracts, if the NRG scouting team does a good job, like he'll be able to find opportunities to cover when Weiwei wants to go top, and he'll be able to find ways to kind of neuter Weiwei's effectiveness. And yeah, I think obviously Palafox is going to have an interesting one against Xiaohu, but I think he can handle it.
An interesting one.
Yeah, you know, well, an interesting one.
I mean, Xiaohu is terrified. So, Mark, what do you think here? Stylistically, is there a chance for this matchup to favor Contracts? I see a lot of people on Twitch chat saying Contracts said he had an unfortunate matchup with Weiwei before.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but he also said that was the first scrim that they had when they got here was against Weibo. So. Yeah, and then they said they got a lot better since then. So, I mean, I appreciate. Hey, we get a lot of takes that call in about how NA is going to do well, and when you ask them who are the 5 players of the enemy team, they're not even sure sometimes, and there's like no opinion on how they play the game. So, I'll give this call credit that there's at least like some thought thrown in here. And like I agree that like that Weibo can be a team that gets a little crazy. You just snuck in the part where like Palafox have an interesting versus Xiaohu, like one of the most internationally acclaimed players of all time, and probably the best player on this team who helped drag them to Worlds. So like I do think that that's sleeping on their strong point a little bit, just call it an interesting time. But maybe if Xiaohu doesn't have a great game,
if I can
and
add,
all these other things, go for it.
No, if I can add, me saying Palafox versus Xiaohu is going to be an interesting one is less me saying that, oh, it's going to be an even matchup, and more me saying like, man, I hope like Palafox doesn't get his absolute shit kicked in by Xiaohu.
Yeah, I understood interesting to me in the same way that the Chinese team said they had a happy game, which is it's not good. I understood that, but I do think it's worth elaborating more that like for people who don't know, like Xiaohu is
right
actually fucking incredible, and not
He's
just historically, but also it was not just history for this guy. It's not just a name. Like the Shy is kind of just a name at this point. Like he is, still mechanically very, very good, and he can win games and all these things, but he is not in the conversation for best top laner. And I don't think Xiaohu's necessarily in conversation for best mid with Scout and Knight, but that's more like the competition's fucking crazy than Xiaohu necessarily. And so like he is legitimately very, very, very good, and will be a very tough matchup for Palafox's first international performance. That said, like maybe the crazy shit happens in the top lane. The Shy is known to disrespect. He'll try and disrespect Dokla. Maybe Weiwei goes up there early for these kind of burger flip plays that we're talking about, and like contracts, and Dokla can win a 2v2 and just kind of like make the game about that. But that's like not necessarily how NRG won a lot in playoffs. I think contracts was really important, but I think Dokla was mostly like weak side and kind of like soft losing lanes, and then would show up and like contribute later. And it was more about around Palafox and kind of bot side with Ignar and things like that. So that's the part that scares me more, is if Palafox is just like, I think he's the most important member for NRG in a sense where like, I think it's really hard for him to win games where he's not winning. Even thinking back at some of their performances during playoffs, I'm not sure if they won games where he just was losing. So that's my concern more than anything.
All right. Thanks, Gravity, for the call. Anything you want to shout out before we go on to our last caller of the night?
Yeah, I want to obviously give a shout out to all the NA teams. Shout out Team Liquid, Energy, C9, all of them. Shout out to Drexel Esports and every other, underfunded collegiate team. And shout out to my girlfriend who knows nothing about League, but listens to me rant about how NA is going to win Worlds.
Yeah. If all you could stop shouting at your significant partners, it's really putting me into a depressed state.
Travis is sad that like all of our callers are partnered up because we're well balanced individuals. Like you get the fans of other talk shows and ask them how they're doing in their personal life. Probably not as great as Hotline League fans. And yet somehow as a host of the show, Travis is struggling. So I don't know what's going on there, but I will say our fans are clearly the most well-balanced human beings.
I feel like you do know what's going on there, because I feel like we talk about it often. Anyway, thanks so much for the call.
Anytime.
Yeah, fair enough.
All right. Anyway, let's go on to our last caller while I sit in this Discord channel alone, much like how I sit in bed. Okay, Rook is here. Rook, what?
Not just where you call from or what his take is. Rook, are you partnered up?
Am I partner up? I am, but I will not shout out my partner at the end of this.
Thank you. It's very generous.
Absolutely fine, but just continuing the survey that our fans are the most well balanced and succeeding in life in all metrics.
Yeah.
After this take, I don't know if I'm going to be well balanced, but
okay.
All right, so, Rook, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from the great state of New York.
And what do you want to talk about on the show?
So for quite some time, I've had some very level-headed takes that I put in chat, and none of those were taken, very understandably. So this is the what is happening take. Captain Flowers inspired. So I want to set the scene. you are Faker and you see Piosik on the other team, and the last time you saw this individual was in Worlds Game 5, and you think to yourself, wow, I did not win against this individual last time. And then you also see a pick that is not meta. You see either a Ziggs or a Xerath, and that reminds you of the Bard in Game 5 of Worlds. And as Faker, you are now stun locked by all of these weird occurrences. And the last time that Faker was stun locked was when he wasn't even playing, and T1 did not do well. So, Team Liquid going to win the first game. Second game for North America. I'm going to plug that I'm a Cloud9 fan, and that is not going to go well in Twitch chat. I'm not going to lie. But Golden Guardians, they were the dark horse, and it did not go well for them in playoffs, right? They did not win against BDS. It was very bad. So we delivered Europe some false information that North America is bad. And now Cloud9 has no pressure on them, and they will defeat Mad Lions in 1646 or less. Finally, you have NRG, the Titans of North America, the undisputed champions, taking down Cloud9. You have Pala Faker, who is going to beat a Chinese team, because a Chinese team always finds a way to choke. The Shy might, as you said in the previous take, he might undervalue Dokla. He might undervalue Contracts, as Contracts will not do what he did in Worlds in 2017 and die Faker, not going well. This will not happen. North America is going to go 3-0 on the day, baby. That's my prediction.
That sounds pretty reasonable to me.
Why don't you also, since we got you here, tack on the rest of your take, your earlier take too, which is that this is NA's best chance since 2018.
So that's the level-headed take. Do we want the level-headed take here, or are we going with, you know?
Well, people might not even agree that that's level-headed. So why don't you go ahead and throw that one in too? We'll see what people make of it.
So the level-headed take was like one of the takes I put on previously that didn't get picked. It was that the last time Worlds was in Korea was 2018. And the Korean teams did not do well under the pressure. Granted that it was three teams back then with Genji, KT, and Afrika. And they just didn't do well with the pressure. And so I think NA with the boot camp time, the practice, like Cloud9 all the time talks about how we never get the chance to scrim against Eastern teams. And so now that they've had 5 weeks to scrim against them, they have a bit of solo queue practice. M&S, despite what may or may not have happened, is still grinding solo queue, getting back to a top rank. So I feel like they're going to be more accustomed to the Eastern playstyle. And Cloud9, I think, is the team that gets out. I know the take was 3-0 on the day, but I think Cloud9 has a legitimate chance of getting out due to the randomness of Swiss.
Travis?
I mean, I agree that C9 is North America's best chance. I don't agree that North America's going to go 3-0 today. I feel like that answers all of the points that were positioned. Mark,
well, what about the 2018? NA's best chance. How do you feel about? We didn't really talk broadly, I guess. How do you feel about NA this year?
Is it me or Travis?
Well,
for Travis. Travis is, I know, like a doomer a little bit about the format, but like, what about the teams we sent this year?
Yeah, I mean, I'll say that the Golden Guardians match didn't do a lot for my confidence. I like C9 a lot. In terms of, I think they're a pretty good team. I think they're pretty well rounded. I don't have great feelings about M&S as a mid laner at an international event, and I worry a little bit about their scrim results and just general rumors about what that team looks like going into next year. And so it is making me feel like that team is not going to hit the peaks that I feel like they're capable of. And then NRG, I mean, I think they should just be here to have a good time. I hope that they do well, but like they're in a position I don't think anybody expected them to be in, and props to them for being there. But I like whatever they do. I hope they just I hope they win a game. Let's put it that way. And then with Team Liquid. Team Liquid's really interesting. I worry a ton about APA on the international stage because this dude has not. I mean, we talked about this, I think, in last week's episode. Like, he obviously is like doesn't have a ton of experience. I think PO6's been kind of hit or miss throughout the year. Summit is also kind of weird. Like, it's just tough to feel super excited about them. I could be almost convinced that like Team Liquid could have the highest potential of any of our North American teams, and like if somehow they like hit that level of strength, wow, they'd be great. But like that team was so all over the place all year that I have to wonder, hey, was this them really building to something great whenever they qualified the Worlds, or was it just one of those moments where they like had a bit of a high point on their wobbly up and down of the whole year? So like I don't feel like I'm going into this Worlds with a ton of confidence for North American teams, especially compared to some of the previous years where like we sent a team that just was like shit stomping everybody all year long and felt really good. So yeah, I wouldn't say that I have a ton of confidence, but I don't think it's wise for any North American fan to right now. I think still support the teams. I still think hope for the best and be optimistic. But I don't think that like this is the year to be like, yo, man, this is our fucking year. Because like I definitely think there's been other years that were better years for us that didn't go really great.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of how I feel. Where like I feel like we've sent what would be based off domestic results, super strong teams, and then they still struggle to stack up internationally. And this year, if you took a snapshot in the middle of summer split, you're like, okay, C9, EG, and I guess Golden Guardians, as like your top three teams, and two of those top three are not there. And FlyQuest was a bit of a dud when it should have been good. So that's scary. On the flip side, I've also heard complaints from NA fans for a long period of time that we just send the same players over and over again, and they're not good, and they're not happy seeing it. Where it's like the same TSM, C9, TL/CLG kind of combination of guys. And here there are a lot of new players who it's their first time on the world stage. Basically, all of NRG's top side, you have the two rookies for Team Liquid, and though Pioshik has gone before, I don't think Summit has made a Worlds before.
I don't think so either.
Though he has played in these regions. And like these combinations of players are pretty new as well. So like I think there's some reasons to be excited to watch, but I'm not super optimistic on our chances either.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like
people real quick. People are saying contracts at Worlds. I know that was like 7 years ago, and it was one time.
Yeah,
he's new.
I feel like you made the good point of this will be good for a lot of individual players. Like pretty much the entire Energy roster outside of Ignar and the one-time contracts went. Like this is just good experience for them. And I personally, if C9 doesn't do well, I could see them kind of doing a mini blow up. But for the players that do go, it's still more international experience. Team Liquid, international experience. So I mean, like, yes, we cope every year that NA is going to do well, but I feel like the overall World's experience will help out for the broad spectrum of North America next year, whatever the god that looks like.
Hey, thanks so much for your call, Rook. Really appreciate it. Anything you want to shout out?
Shout out to you guys. Shout out to Alienware, all the sponsors, and shout out to the broadcast crew. I work in sports TV, so knowing how long those days are, shout out to the guys doing that.
Yeah. We got a good couple of we got less than an hour until then. So yeah, thanks, Brooke, for the call, and we'll see Worlds in just a second. Catch you next time.
See ya.
All right, everybody. I have to go take a shower. I got to go to Worlds. I'll stick around and stream for 5 minutes afterwards, just in case I have subs or anything I need to read out, and we'll do a quick little bounty. So please stick around for maybe like the 5 minutes, then I'll raid somebody. Mark, what do you want to plug?
Nothing. Watch Worlds tonight. Watch all the coverage of it. Watch the Dive Foria podcast state thing. That was a good time with all the sleep deprived people. Have fun. Enjoy Worlds.
And the next time we do
It's
one of these
only game.
hotline leagues, I will be back in the States. It'll be next week because I'm not around for the last part of the Swiss stage. I was only able to come over here for about 10 days or so. So we did media day or asset days, and we're doing the beginning of Swiss or first half. But stay tuned for when that will be, because we'll be trying to figure that out, Mark and I, on when the best time is. But expect a hotline league next week. Hopefully we can do one in between Swiss Part 1 and Swiss Part 2, but I don't know if we will be able to. But yeah, thank you everybody. Thank you everybody who subbed, everybody who's supporting. It is an expensive trip, and we don't have a sponsor right now, so it is very generous of all of you. So thanks everyone for watching, and we will see you next week whenever we're celebrating North America kicking ass.